The Iran deal could lead to nuclear war, the specter of global annihilation that I lived under during my entire childhood growing up in New York, with take cover drills where we plunge under the desk. That has been lifted from humanity by the end of the Cold War, but now it could be back with this Iran deal. Former Secretaries of State George Shultz and Henry Kissinger collaborated on writing an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that underscored this point. They said that if Iran gets nuclear weapons, Saudi Arabia has to. And if Saudi Arabia and Iran both have nuclear weapons, very probably Egypt and Turkey are going to get nuclear weapons as well, and Israel already has them. So you'll have 3 to 5 nuclear powers in the Middle East. In a sense, it would be the third escalation of terrorist weaponry. The first escalation was when they got their hands on the U.S. military material we had sent to the Afghan rebels to oppose Russia during the Russian invasion of the 1980s. And their access to that weaponry, to that cache of equipment, really impelled the Taliban's takeover of the country and ultimately enabled al-Qaeda's assault on the United States. Then there was a second wave, which occurred during our intervention in Libya, where our massive flow of weapons into Libya to try to topple Gaddafi ended up right in the hands of ISIS and al-Qaeda and al-Sharia, and is animating the whole terrorist offensive that we see today. Again, American weapons. And now it looks like there's going to be a third influx of weaponry caused by Iran being invited to have a nuclear weapon. Because that's the only way to see this deal. It tells Iran, you wait 10 years and then be my guest. And it also says you can keep your existing enriched uranium. It says that the inspection has to have approval of the Iranians in terms of when and where they go. And if Iran obstructs the inspectors, we'll take your case to the UN Security Council, which would conduct an investigation to see if Iran did or did not, and Russia and China could veto the finding that they did. And the threat that sanctions would snap back into place is absurd. It took almost a decade to get everybody on board for sanctions, and would be an almost impossible process to reconstitute. These are all the points that Kissinger and Shultz made. But the key one is that this would mean that a nuclear war in the Middle East is possibly inevitable. Because once you give these folks weapons, they're going to use them. The restraint that we've had in not using nuclear weapons at the superpower level will not be mirrored by these crazies and fanatics in the Middle East. In August, on August 6th, I think, we're going to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. And since then, even through wars and conflicts, the Cold War, Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, neither the United States nor Russia nor anybody else has used a nuclear weapon. And now that's going to end. And when there's a nuclear war or a threat of it going on in the Middle East, you can bet that's going to drag the United States in. You can bet that that's going to spread fallout throughout the world and a serious risk of a global nuclear war.